Hi everybody, and welcome to this YouTube fly tying tutorial. The pattern that I'm going to be tying for you today is definitely no stranger to friends of Bonefish. It's a pattern called the Crazy Charlie. It's been around for over 30 years and has just been catching tons of bonefish and other fish on the flats in that time. What's really great about this pattern is that it can be varied so many different ways with some of the materials, some of the different the nuances of the fly, and it's basically the sky is the limit. I'll give you a few of the variations as I'm tying, but for the most part I'm going to try to tie the basic pattern, and I will give you some tips about it as I go along. For starters, I have the SW002 hook in here. This is a hook by Allen Fly Fishing. It's our saltwater stainless hook. I definitely recommend it. I'm tying this today in a size 4, though I will tie it both in smaller and larger sizes on that hook. I got some 6/0, some fluorescent pink thread. I'm going to start this about a third of the way back. I'm just going to build up just a little hump. And what I'm going to do with that hump, I'm going to use that to lock in my eyes. I'm going to tie in some eyes today, and this is just, let me get these other materials away from these. Just got some bead chain eyes that I'm tying in for you. I'm going to just tie them with a few wraps, kind of squeeze them up towards my initial wraps, and just lock them in with some figure eights. What I want to let you know about these eyes is that the bead chain eyes are great. They allow kind of a little bit more for the shallow depth, but if you want something that sinks a lot faster, get some heavier tungsten or lead eyes on there. If you want something that won't sink as far, go with plastic eyes. I mean, it's really up to you and the conditions in the water that you're going to be fishing. So I just put a bunch of figure eights in there so that they're just locked down. They're not going anywhere. And then next I'm going to wrap back. It doesn't matter if you're sloppy or being very neat on the way back. And on this hook, I'm just going to go a little bit in front of where the point of the barb is. So I'm going to stop right there. I'm going to tie in my, my body materials. The first material I'm going to tie in is just a vinyl rib. This is a clear rib, nothing special. It's just going to be covering the body of the fly, and it's going to allow you to kind of see through it. I'm going to recommend clear for tires simply because no matter what color you put underneath it, it will show up in a little bit more of a vivid sense, because this will just kind of give it that shine and give it almost that glass minnow look. When I tie this in, I'm gonna butt it up against the eyes, so I'm gonna keep it to that length. I'm not gonna worry about trimming it at all. Just lock it in with a couple wraps. Don't have to worry too much about it. And then next, I'm gonna use some pearl tinsel. Why I'm gonna be using pearl tinsel is very simple. I want that pink thread showing underneath it. So I'm gonna do the same thing with the pink tinsel. Just tie it in, lock it pretty much to those eyes. And then I'm going to take my time and I'm going to really just ensure that a couple things are going on here. I want to ensure that my body's uniform, and I want to make sure that you can see that pink the whole way up. Okay, once I feel like I've accomplished that, I build this up just a little bit more to ensure that it's got just a hair of a taper. I'm going to wrap up just a hair and stop. All right, the first thing I'm going to wrap forward now will be my tinsel. You don't have to worry about being precise with this as you're wrapping it forward. You just want to make sure that about 90% of your thread is covered. But if you notice, while I'm wrapping this forward, you can see the color pink through this tinsel. And that is one of the keys to using clear tinsel and the clear rib. I can make a figure eight around my eyes as well. And I'll just lock the tinsel in with a couple wraps. I won't even worry about trimming it. Next, I'm going to bring the vinyl rib forward. This one I'm going to try to be a little bit more precise. I want to make sure that each wrap basically will touch the previous one. So I don't want any space in here. Again, with that tinsel, you'll notice that you can see that color pink through this, really giving it that glass minnow look, like this fly was originally intended for. When I get up to the eyes, I'm going to figure eight. So I'm going to wrap over the eyes. Stop at the top, just get a couple more wraps in there, a locking wrap, and I can trim those two materials at the same time. All right, we've completed the body of the fly. Now if you have a rotary vise, you can simply flip it and turn it around the other way. Let me ensure I got this focus on here for you. All right, once I I have it flipped over. Now I'm just going to add my wing, and this is another little area that you can kind of play around with. I mean, if you think about everything we've done so far, for that vinyl rib, you don't have to use vinyl rib. If you want to use something like a clear monofilament line, that's fine. If you want to use actually a colored rib, that's fine. If you're trying to match something natural that's in the water, there's a specific bait fish that you're trying to match with this pattern. The undercolor, this pink thread, you do not have to use pink. You could use, again, whatever thread you're trying to have show through. Now when I get to the wing, I'm going to definitely make a little bit of a variation here. A lot of tyers prefer to use a couple different materials. Some will use bucktail. Calf tail is actually what typically is called for. I'm going to use some calf hair simply because it's a little easier to trim. It's a little more uniform and it doesn't bulk up the head as much. So I'm going to grab just a little pinch of it, trim it. I'll hold it up for you, but before I do anything, I'm going to grab it by the tips and get rid of all this underbody. I want to get all that stuff out of there because those are just extra fibers that are going to hog up the head. Next, I want to measure it. I want the tips to go just past the bend of the hook. So I'm going to hold them where I want them. I'm going to transfer it from my right to my left hand, and I'm going to trim right there. And the reason I'm doing that is so I know exactly where I can tie it in and I don't have to worry about it crowding the head. Now I'm going to hold these fibers at a 45-degree angle and pinch them in. I'm going to wrap forward. My thread might skip a bit. No, it didn't. If it does, you can just build it up a little bit more. I'm going to wrap back, stop, and I'm going to add the final material that I'm going to be adding, and it's crystal flash. I just have some pink crystal flash that's going to match the body and the thread. I only need about 3 or maybe 5 fibers. I normally say 3 or 4, but in this case I will go a little bit heavier. I'm going to trim. I want to make sure that they're all a uniform length. And I'll tie them on so they're approximately the same length as that wing was. I'll lock them. After I get that first wrap in, I just want to make sure that they're going straight back and centered on the pattern. If they're not, you can kind of pull them around with your fingers, ensure that you have them locked right where you want them. Once I have that, then I'm going to wrap back. That's my stopping point in the back. We trim them, the butt sections. Now I'm going to wrap forward and ensure that I go over all those pieces. You can inspect the fly from a 360. Ensure you have everything where you want it. I'm going to put 1/2 hitch. I'm going to whip finish. I'm going to trim my thread. I am going to coat this with epoxy. I'm going to use an epoxy that cures, let's see, via sunlight. So let me get some of this. This is just a glass glue that I'm using. So I coat this head with a little bit. Okay, once I have that coated, I'm going to grab my black light, hit it with this. You can count to about 15. I always like to go to about 20 just to make sure that it's completely cured. And now it is. Here is the finished look at the Crazy Charlie Bonefish fly. Just to briefly go over all the materials, again, we have that pink thread that's showing through, the pearl tinsel over it, and then that clear vinyl rib. Again, don't be afraid to change that combination up if there's something that's more suitable to your conditions. We have these bead chain eyes, which are really nice because whenever you tie the fly, it looks like this, but once it gets into the water, it will ride hook point up, thus it won't be snagging anything on those bonefish flats. As I mentioned previously, if you want to add some more weight to the eyes, that's fine. If you need to get down a little bit deeper, or even try some plastic eyes if you don't want it to go deep at all. For our wing material, I use some calf hair. If you want to go with craft fur, go with that. If you want to try bucktail, absolutely. Really, the sky's the limit. And you can also basically look over your inventory, see what you have available, try it out, and see how it works on this pattern. Then finally, I used a real soft crystal flash going back, which really just, it also has a little bit of that variegation in it, so it almost gives it that appearance of a bait fish, gives it a little more of that translucency that we're looking for. Then finally, I just used a a quick curing epoxy on the head just to go over those wraps so I don't have to wait for this fly to dry. So that's the finished look at this Crazy Charlie. I'll give you a 360. Thanks for viewing this fly tying tutorial, and thanks go out to Allen Fly Fishing for the use of the SW002 saltwater hook. You can find that at allenflyfishing.com. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them directly on this YouTube page, or you can email me at tcammisa@gmail.com. Thanks, everybody.